I'm very grateful today to start our podcast with Nestor Icaza. Nestor's with EXP. He's a really incredible example of someone who is really dedicated this stage of his life to mastery. I'm excited because I'm observing a lot of energy. I'm getting a chance to see him experiment with different ways of doing media. He's very tech forward already, working with EXP. So I'm just excited to have some time with Nestor today.
Yeah, thank you, Mitch. I appreciate that.
Awesome. And so I'm always interested about the way that you think of yourself and kind of the conversations that you have with people. So can you teach everybody a little bit about you and kind of I know we met through real estate, but just a little bit about you personally and professionally.
Yeah. So, like you mentioned, I'm a real estate broker. I'm brokered by EXP. I'm a local here to this area. Pretty much grew up in Millbrae, San Bruno. And before I got into real estate sales, I was in construction. I was in real estate development on a small scale. And then I was in education before that. So it's kind of all led up to this.
I have observed that educators are fantastic salespeople.
Yeah.
Like I noticed that ex principals, instructors would become real estate agents as a second or third career. And like almost without exception, they became very good because sales is a lot more about instruction and
Absolutely.
the concepts like I'm thinking of like an agent in Los Altos Hills that has been like the number one agent forever, and she was a kindergarten or an elementary school instructor.
Yeah.
And then, so you've acquired skills. Is that kind of how you approached things as you were beginning your planning, as you became aware of the next step?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it's part of my philosophy.
Yeah.
You know, I tell my clients, like, I present the information to you, I advise you, but ultimately the decision is yours. And if I've provided you the right information, then I've empowered you to make the best possible decision. You know, and being an educator, that teaches you kind of the patience, right? The being of service to other people, right? So that's kind of where my foundation came from.
It teaches intention. I think I'm just
Mm-hmm.
letting it sink in a bit because I haven't had this conversation in years around educators being successful salespeople. Sales is a place where people with questionable intentions often end up. And outcomes that are long-term outcomes that teachers have with people that need to be given space to grow. I mean, all the frameworks for a successful, complex, high value sale really fall into place again when you start to think about having the heart of a teacher
Yeah.
or having the heart of a salesperson with a fantastic intention. They happen to overlap really well. So I'm guessing you learned a lot about delivering really great education and customer service, all those things.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, even within real estate agents, there's so much opportunity to educate each other, right?
Yeah.
And this is like a collaborative industry, I think, right? It's competitive and collaborative at the same time.
Yeah. Competitive this week because you might need to collaborate next week. You need to be
Right.
competitive properly.
Yeah. Yeah. But, you know, I think that at least at EXP, we're very like open in sharing and collaborating the information that we have. You know, I'm gonna quote a lot of people that I probably don't know the exact quote, but I'm sure this has been said before. There's nothing new under the sun, right? It's like give away your best stuff for free, right? And so it's like if you know something and it's awesome, like give it away. You know.
I've heard that most recently from Alex Hermosi.
Oh, okay. Nice.
And in this space, it's true, I think, because so many things change so quickly. In the digital media space, you have to give it away because it's not going to work next month, probably, anyways.
Yeah.
But if it works this month, maybe somebody hires you next month to do it for them.
Right. And few will implement it, right?
Yeah.
But you know, you can teach and hope that people will take it. And that's the cool thing about EXP is it gives me that platform to like be a mentor to other agents, help grow other agents,
Yeah.
and like build them. And it, you know, that was something that I would do just naturally because that's just my disposition, that's my personality.
Yeah.
But now it's like I'm in a system where there's a good compensation model for that. Right?
Yeah. So let's talk about that. So I'm super interested in money models and business, and I was aware of a newer company, Keller Williams, and they were doing some great things. And Keller was incredible at spinning up an education around how to sell properties. And some of the top Keller Williams agents started a company called EXP, and they are now dominating in certain areas. And it's clear that they were early to collapse, if you will. And it could be a positive, but time collapses. And I think the need for certain the value that companies offer in real estate has evolved a lot, and you were early. So I'd love to find out from you. And we don't need to talk about the company specifically, but you went from like a great legacy brand to a very much a disruptive brand. What was
Totally.
that time like for you? What were you seeing that was kind of making you plan ahead and see a different future possibly?
Well, yeah, I mean, what happened was I felt like I had reached a point where I was not really getting like the mentorship that I wanted, right? There were top agents in the office, but there was kind of a like guardedness about the flow of information,
We call that
techniques.
gatekeeping
Yeah,
sometimes.
exactly.
Yeah.
Gatekeeping, absolutely. So I was looking for somewhere that I could go that people would be more open with information, that I could learn from top agents, right? And it would be like a more collaborative space.
Yeah.
And it ended up being, the right fit. So,
And it solves a lot of problems that I've identified as an observer of different businesses. Like a salesman needs to decide if they're going to build a business that allows them to manage other salesmen, potentially then
hmm
own the business, or they're just a salesman forever. And
right.
EXP identified, I think, properly that top real estate agents would like an exit strategy. I
Yes.
haven't had this conversation in 2025, but was that like something that had appealed to you as well when pragmatically you wanted something that you owned?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm very much into like personal development,
Yeah.
right? And like they say, a tree always grows to its full potential,
Yeah.
right? But humans have free will, so we may not always grow to our full potential, right? But that's my goal,
Yeah.
right? My goal is to grow to my full potential. I mean, ideally, I'd like to build like what in KW would be a seventh level business, right? Where it's like you're fully out of the business, you've hired a CEO, and they're kind of running things for you. Just because, why not? Why not strive for that highest level of business? Um, the good thing about EXP is that it kind of offers you the ability to build an organization
Yeah.
that can produce like passive revenue without necessarily having to build that seventh level business. But I still think like both are worthy goals.
Yeah. And because I think you acquire skills like I do, you see things as maybe like equity, where you can go through a period where EXP doesn't need to be the right fit forever. It can teach you a
Yeah, totally,
fantastic skill set today.
totally.
I observe like a lot of different seasons of leadership in real estate, and
Yes.
many of the frameworks people learn previously, they bring with them into the next logo. I mean,
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
no reason to not bring your best material.
yeah, and that's a very good point because that's why I wanted to become a broker because well, first of all, I noticed a lot of agents would stay at realtor for like a long time. They'd be, 20, 30 years in the game. And what the managers and everybody would tell you is like, oh, well, there's liability with becoming a broker.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, what's wrong with liability if you're doing things right?
Yes.
What's wrong with there being liability? You know? So I want to do that to differentiate myself, first of all.
Mm.
But then also because, yeah, I don't want to be tied to some kind of system. That's one of my big things too is just independence,
Yeah.
right? That's what got me into real estate was really wanting independence. And that's why like my first couple of real estate deals were buying land,
I
you
didn't know
know?
that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but another thing going back to like systems, the way I've built my business is that I really don't like dependency on company technology. And that's funny because like in the real estate world, that's entire companies models,
Yeah.
right? Like we're going to sell you a software and you're going to become extremely dependent upon the software. It's going to do everything for you. And like me, I'm the total opposite of that. I'm like I'd rather use these all of these separate a la carte options and get like the best in class of all of these things, CRM, uh IDX, whatever, versus getting an all-in-one like Swiss Army knife solution,
Yeah.
and then I'm completely dependent on it.
I'm wired a lot like you.
Yeah.
I've been fired or let go of many jobs because I wasn't willing to admit that I'm a lot like you. So
Mm.
good for you for
Yeah.
acknowledging you want that independence and you're willing to pay for it. And I guess EXP, in that sense, charges less because they give you those flexibilities where
Right.
companies that have highly established infrastructure, they're not incentivized to give you any leniency. And that's why you
Yes.
get gatekeeping, for example,
Mm-hmm.
often.
Yeah.
Uh, so, if you thought about the way that you spend your time within your professional space, are you currently like a recruiter in that you're building your EXP team? Are you a salesperson primarily that also happens to be like, What are your frameworks as you go through your day?
Yeah, no, I'm definitely still a salesperson. That's like my primary focus. Mm, I'm all about attraction rather than promotion. Like if they come, great. I'm willing to help people build and learn,
Yeah.
but I'm not, besides this podcast right now, I'm usually not like spewing out EXP, right?
Yeah.
That's just kind of like, I like it. I think it's the best thing since sliced bread, but like, it's like, I'm not going to push it on people either, right?
Yeah, and I'm not even
So,
pro EXP or anti EXP. I'm
sure.
pro Nestor, but
Thank you.
yeah, and I think it's good to be pro you in that you were early to EXP,
Yeah.
and we're here, and I'm early, and you're early to artificial intelligence. You're
Mhm.
early to working locally and more kind of in the ethereal space of like you'll handle your own independence and your responsibility, and if you do good work, you're not going to
Mhm.
be in court for the rest of your life like they lead you to believe. And so
Yeah.
you're taking these like big responsible steps. um, I know that you got married last year, like
Yeah.
congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, that's awesome. It was a blessing.
And we are so lucky, we both married up probably, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so
You know the importance of having the right support system behind you. It's make or break you. The right, woman
yeah,
behind you. That's everything.
yeah, and family changes you if you let it. And
Mm-hmm.
I have been so grateful to have a patient spouse and kids that are young enough where like I'm allowing these changes to occur as I'm comfortable. And it's changed me personally, but also
Mm.
like really professionally. It expedited a lot of honesty
Mm.
around time being valuable.
Yeah.
I think prior to having a wife and children, I didn't understand. Like, I would give a year of my life to something that I found valuable, but maybe wasn't going to be a return on my value or my time.
Mm-hmm.
Like an education, but not necessarily because I needed it, just because I wanted it. And I think I have cut everything out of my life that isn't very first principles, very much
Yeah.
like, does it make me happy? Does it make me money?
Yeah. Has to align with your values.
It has to align with my values and
Yeah.
my beliefs. I've learned a
Mm.
lot that my boundaries were broken by accident by having children and getting married. I didn't understand because as a solo dude, like
Yeah.
boundaries aren't a thing because everything's a boundary. It's also how you exist.
Right.
But integrating a human, a wife, kids, like you learn your boundaries. I'm thinking about myself this entire time. I mean, I wonder like what are some of the things that may have personally or professionally, like have you seen your life shifting? Are you
Oh yeah.
more aware of certain things?
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, just going off what you were saying. At first I would say yes to everything, like professional opportunities, business opportunities. I would say yes, 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 and then you realize how that robs you of your time. And then you have to backpedal. You have to start saying no to things, right? You have to be more intentional about your time, where you're putting your resources, and so that's still something that, like, with clients, I'm very hands-on, and I still go like really above and beyond, right? Like,
Mm.
I'll go in there and I'll pack the kitchen. Like if that needs to get done at the last minute, I'm packing the kitchen so we can get things done. Earlier this year I had a closing, and the guy hadn't moved out. Like, we closed escrow, and my client hadn't moved out. It's my client.
Yeah.
He hadn't moved out, and I was there until midnight, 2 in the morning, like, while the buyer's agent's sitting there watching, like, watching us pack our stuff out, like.
Yeah.
But that's what you have to do sometimes, because I'm not gonna leave my client high and dry,
Yeah.
and just be like, I don't know, figure it out. We close, So I'm very like hands on still, and I think that's what my clients love about me. I think that's why, like, I have like raving fans. I have like, another thing I really pride myself on is having really good reviews.
Yeah.
Because I think that can kind of separate you too when you have agents that have been in the business maybe 20 years, but they don't have the public reviews that kind of reinforce that, right?
It's crazy. I've also observed that there was a period of time where you could, and I'm just speaking generally here, I'm making no accusations about anyone,
Yeah.
but there was a period of time where reviews were purchasable
Mm.
and like very much like you could kind of like run with things. And so,
Yeah.
you ever see any agents with like 300 reviews that are all 5 stars?
Yeah.
Statistically, that's very much a non-zero,
Mm.
like very unlikely. So, I really think like emphasizing Nestor's like trajectory around like authentic reviews.
Yeah. No, I've had sellers that were like, we read through a bunch of agents' reviews, And we chose you because we felt like yours were real.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, no,
I
it makes all the
appreciate you
difference.
saying that to me,
Yeah.
because as someone that works in space where you can modify perception, there's definitely vendors that can just kind of pump certain perspectives into certain
Yeah.
technologies, and like Instagram's full of like fake followers and bots, and you can kind of create whatever perception you want. And
Absolutely.
so I'm not, I mean, I love your authenticity. You have the right energy. I coached somebody that you remind me of, and I said a compliment to him. I'll say to you, I think you are really like, you really do like people, Nestor, and like you can't
I would
fake
agree.
that.
Yeah, I would agree.
And not every, like 80, maybe 90% of the people that find sales, I've observed, have to learn to like people or learn to fall in love with the outcomes. And I feel like you really do like people, and that characterization, I think, comes back in reviews.
Yeah, I would agree. And you know what was something really cool that happened at a listing appointment the other day is, I go through my whole spiel, right? And the client says, yeah, you really blew the other guy out of the water. And they go, I could really tell you're passionate and you love what you do. And that meant everything to me, And it reminds me of a quote that I had heard literally earlier that day. I heard a quote. It's from the Founders Podcast, and the guy who made the podcast, it's his quote. He said, uh, "Mediocrity is exposed when passion enters the room."
Yeah.
Mediocrity is exposed when passion enters the room.
Yeah, and I think what I'm hearing there is implied there is it's the contrast between the two is really the key. And
Yeah.
Teams suffer from this also, where somebody that's fresh and coming up might have some passion that is a little lacking from a more established, maybe checked out agent.
Yeah.
It's very much like that distinction. It's hard for people to navigate that lack of passion when you don't have it. And if you do, like I can talk. I went on a coffee 2 days ago and I accidentally spoke for like 45 minutes straight about stuff that I love. And it was like an hour coffee.
Yeah.
And like she kind of interrupted me very politely and kindly. And I was like, oh my God, I've been going.
Yeah. You're in the flow.
You're in the flow.
You're in the flow.
You can't fake. I wouldn't have talked about kids' toys that way. I don't care for kids' toys that way.
Yeah.
But I care for AI, I care for marketing, I care for sales.
Yeah.
We got great stuff already. So
well, let's keep with going in the flow and what we love, right? So I love it being in a flow state.
Yeah.
Right. And so I love work. Like work is great, right? Business is great, but like I feel like it's for me. I work to live.
Yeah.
I don't live to work.
The audio on. Let me see. I think Jeff just ran to tell the guy to cut off.
Oh, okay.
The audio would be toast, so that's why I'm sorry to.
No worries.
Okay.
No, we gotta get it right.
We have plenty of time. All right, cool. I think Jeff just gave him the.
I'm pretty sure he'll be okay if we go a little over too.
Awesome. Sorry. So that's for me very distracting. So you did great though. So I first heard about flow via peak state. But yeah, flow for me is finding a hyper specific action or like knowledge base that I can just tap into. And like my first flow states were always around sales, always around like role playing the demo, like the objection handling, always like internal. But then flow state became something I started to figure out how to hack. And I think that's kind of more what we're talking about, is like knowing that if you sit down with a cup of coffee, a friend, and a topic, that you might be there and like an hour can pass in a moment.
Yeah.
And so you've noticed that you've got the things you're passionate about. Real estate unlocks that for you.
It does, and just really it's like client satisfaction, right? Like when you're talking to the client and they're loving the game plan and you're in sync.
Yeah.
And it's just like a shoe in, it's like that perfect. It's like snowboarding when you're just hitting that perfect line, or like I just started sailing.
Yeah.
And so I don't know how much you know about sailing, but like there's this thing is called like close breach. And then it's like when you're just perfectly slicing through the wind.
Okay.
And it's like, it's that flow state feeling, like that's what I love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The last time I was on the ocean, I went crab fishing.
Nice.
It was great for everybody except me. I
Did you
did not
throw
know.
up?
Yeah, I did not know.
Yeah.
I learned so much about myself that
Yeah.
day. Yeah, it was just like too much for too soon, and
Yeah.
but the crabs were great. I mean, it was like
Oh yeah.
9 or 10 hours of like not great, and then the
Yeah.
crabs were awesome. So what's we call the podcast Epic Plans.
Yeah.
Epic's an interesting word depending on what generation you are. In
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
family, it actually is an acronym, which is where we got
Mm,
it from. So
nice.
my wife's business, it's Epic Architects and Engineering. So Epic is empower people, impact culture.
Mm,
So her
awesome.
vision for how spaces impact people, empowering
Mm,
people through the spaces that they are in and the cultures that people have in their family or their communities. Um, Epic plans is the idea that we would like put some energy towards the future plans that people
mm-hmm.
have in development or building. So you have resources, you have a family, you have momentum. Like, what are you going towards now as you think about your 3 to 5 year plan? Like, what are you excited about?
Yeah, I mean, I think like a lot of people in real estate, I want to, increase sales. Obviously, I think making $1 million a year is where a lot of people kind of measure, their success. And then,
Do
like,
you measure your success in that space?
no, not necessarily.
Okay.
No, my definition of success that I really like is John Maxwell, and he says success is the respect and admiration of the people that are closest to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I mean, we have goals. Like I said, my goal isn't to work forever,
Yeah.
right? So, building a business that makes enough revenue, enough profit so that you can live a comfortable life. I think in real estate, it's very traditional for people to say, okay, we're going to take the profit from real estate sales. We're going to buy apartments. We're going to buy things that are going to create passive income. And, that's definitely like part of the goal.
Yeah.
Um, Possibly get into flips, things like that. Um, but really, all that is just to be able to live the life that I want, right? And the life that I want is kind of like what I've told you, just independence, being able to do the things I want when I want. Like I want to be able to sail when I want, have the resources to sail, maybe have my own boat one day, right?
Yeah.
Um, I love snowboarding, so I want to be able to go to Tahoe, snowboard, maybe have a ski house up there.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the life that I envision for myself. And I don't have kids yet, but, I want to have kids. And I want to be able to show them all those cool experiences, right? And leave them with those cool experiences of sailing or like horseback riding, right? Or
Yeah.
snowboarding, ski trips with the family. Because, I mean, I'm sure that you can relate to this. Like in real estate, we oftentimes will sell houses that deceased people, and there'll be brothers and sisters that, the parents have a house full of things, 30 years of accumulation of things, right? And they're just like, yeah, we need to get rid of all this, and that's not like, poo-pooing them. Like it's a lot, it's overwhelming, and that's where we come in and we do the right thing. That's another thing. I really like to treat people's things with respect, you know. And I remember one time I was in an appointment and the client was like, yeah, the other agent said we're gonna junk remove everything. And I was like, I'm really sorry, sorry that they said that. This isn't junk, this is like your family's things. So that's what I do. And again, that's my hands-on approach, right? And this is, I think, why people really, certain people really attracted and like me, right? Because what I did for her is I like sold. She actually ended up having these like antique, cherry wood, like Chinese furniture,
Yeah.
and we ended up selling that for like 3 grand,
Yeah.
you know. And it's like it was meaningful to her to have somebody respect her stuff. But
So I want to compliment you because I've noticed if you do volume, like I've been in a business before where I had 6,000 transactions,
mm,
and you don't,
yeah,
I didn't remember the individual at points of those
totally,
journeys.
yeah,
So as you get more experience, like it's hard to think about the person
yes,
if you're not in the right state of mind. Like, I mean,
mm-hmm.
not even defending this comment. I'm just more thinking about
Yeah,
like
yeah.
how common it is to just,
Yeah, everyone wants to scale, right? Everyone wants to, that's like the world we live in, right? More scale, And I think it's one of those things where this is another quote, be faithful when the amounts are few, right? And then you'll be able to rule over many. So I try to do a really good job with people, right now,
Yeah.
and just continue that. That's the value, right? That's the underlying value of the business.
So I want to see how I can manage to like work the rest of the podcast in the framework. I'm going
Sure.
to do something different with you than I've
Cool.
done on the other ones.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm going to try and set up my AI with more of like a slam dunk.
Mm-hmm.
So like previously I would have taken this and I wouldn't have been as deliberate at this point. So I'm going to transparently tell you what I'm doing. So I
Okay.
would have taken the transcript, we got like 30 more minutes. I would have done my thing. And we would have then, I say to my AI, like listen for Nestor's goals, right? And you've
Mm-hmm.
shared some goals like sailing and Tahoe, and there's so many things we can do there. Then I'll say like, so that it doesn't hallucinate, I'll be like, quote Nestor, so I make sure you actually pick his goals.
Okay.
So it's not like he wants 30 pink puppies, and I'm like, so like
Yeah.
actual goals, and I have them quote, and it goes through marketing, sales, and client fulfillment. So instead of having my AI search, I want to present it as a framework that we can share together. Where I want to kind of talk about your goals, where we talked a little bit about, in essence, your client fulfillment is you hitting your goals, right? So actually having the kids that have the horseback riding this week, when you
Yeah.
sail this weekend on your boat, that's awesome. That's the outcome that you want. To get from here to there are opportunities and choices and thousands of, ways to get there for sure. If you have an abundant mindset, it's
Yeah.
almost unlimited. But I don't know what you need. So I'm
Right.
wondering, like, as you think about those outcomes, what are you observing? Like I noted marketing. We'll talk
Mm-hmm.
about that. You were at a home and garden show. Uh, Maybe it wasn't a home and garden show. Was it a home and garden show? You were doing a festival or
Oh,
a
yeah,
tent?
yeah. No, that was a community day.
Community day.
Yeah, that was a
Awesome.
community day here in San Bruno.
Love it. So
Yeah.
like community days are a form of cold marketing.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
like understanding like all the different kind of threads that you have, entering your kind of stream of marketing, bringing that into the sales space,
Mm-hmm.
and then bringing that into, in essence, helping you hit your goals.
Yeah, yeah.
So like, did you like doing the community day? Not for the frameworks of the community, but just standing on your feet in a tent in the summer heat isn't great for everybody.
We were in the shade. It wasn't too bad.
Was it too bad?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I've done 4 or 5 of those kinds of weekends a year for many years of my life,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a really great way to meet people, and
Yeah.
it's also challenging.
It is. Yeah. I mean, you have a lot of people that just walk by and ignore you, but that's no, it's like being in an open house,
Yes.
right? You will get people that walk in, they don't want to talk to you, they just walk right past you. So it really was no different than being at an open house, but I guess it was higher up in the funnel, right? Because these people aren't even looking to buy or sell.
Yeah. Well, that community day was just community.
Yeah, and I was giving away, these toys, these Labubu toys that are popular right now, and so I was giving those away, and there were kids that really wanted them, so the kids were like, "Hey, sign up," to their parents. They're like, sign up to win one," and so we gave them away at the end of the day, and it was cool just being like Santa Claus, and making all these kids happy, and that was kind of worth it for me just right there. I think I built, probably some solid relationships with those people. Those people will definitely remember me just because, again, I mean, as a parent, right? Like when they see the smiles on their kids' face, their kids are literally jumping up and down because they got this toy. They're gonna remember me, right?
Yeah.
Which is like that's the intention, right? But it is nice to have that like feeling of generosity and giving.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so. We did like a career day for the preschool that our daughter Juliet goes to, and like there's magnet blocks that kids love that are like very modular, and you can buy a set of 100 for almost nothing. And so we made like little 8-piece sets and gave them as like the takeaway, and each of them had like a business card on one of the magnet blocks. And like it's maybe one day they'll need architecture, and like you keep your fingers crossed, and it did feel good, and like you get the selfie. But candidly, like I want to speak to you. Like, do you feel strongly that you know how to? Like, do you feel like you have a gas pedal? Do you have a gas pedal for your marketing? Like, do you feel like if you did 100 of those in the next 10 years, or like, do you feel like you know how to scale to the destination you want from a marketing perspective?
I would say no, because if I knew, I would already be there, right?
I don't know, but I love that you're being honest. I've never asked this question.
I mean, no, I have a fuzzy idea, right? I mean, it's like we're not reinventing the wheel here, right? We can look at the playbooks that other people have done and try to follow those playbooks. But it's more of like what's the most cost efficient way to do it, really?
Yeah.
Because I know people that send out thousands of mailers every month, but that you got to have a nice budget for that. Or like if you're gonna do a huge ad spend on Google or whatever, you have to have
Yeah.
a lot of capital to throw at that, and that's an option. Me personally, I try to run a little more lean.
Yeah. I love it. Can we talk about it?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, that's,
So
I think,
referral based would be lean in my world.
referral
Yeah.
based. Yeah, and I tell the people that I mentor, there's so many things that you can do for free before you spend on XYZ. Email's free, the phone is free, dropping off flyers is free, warm calls, cold calls, for the most part, like that's all very free, low cost stuff that you can do before you go to these other services, avenues, whatever.
And do you feel like if you were to scale from $1 million in annual revenue to $10 million in annual revenue, there'd be at least one or two marketing levers that you would want to be able to pull on, and really like a farm where you door knocked, or
Sure.
private mailers, or a podcast, whatever like your thing is, where you're like, I'll
Yeah.
do 3 episodes a week for 5 years, and then years 3 and 4 and 5 you can start to map actual output. Like, are you mapping actual output in your own business, where you're able to kind of look back on the last few years and go like, well, yeah, everything's changed, and still that thing is really pulling
yeah.
for me still?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, still very much referral based. That's still about 80%.
But you have to wait for referrals.
Absolutely.
So there's no gas pedal.
Right. That's correct. Well, then the other thing is, similarly, social media, like that does create.
Yeah.
I have gotten sales from social media, right? It doesn't come about the way you think it does, but that's also like.
Ooh, tell me about that. That sounded wise.
Yeah, well, it doesn't come. I mean, I think when you post something, you post a reel, you think that somebody's gonna like comment, I want to sell my house, or they're gonna DM you like, hey, I saw your reel and da da da. But like what's happened in my experience is, they see the reel, they don't say anything, they don't even like it, they stay quiet, and then one day you get a phone call and they're like, oh hey, like so and so needs to sell their house, and I'm calling you because I see you all the time on social media.
Yeah.
Right? So at least in my experience, like the outreach is still via phone. It's not like somebody's hitting you up on social media, but maybe I also target, I think, older generation. So
Millbrae is like a small city.
Yeah.
It's got a vibe, like a beach
Yeah.
community. I feel like it's the spirit of the marketing.
Yeah.
I feel like the businesses here are all very much like well established, and would be also somebody that might be a great referral source. Just as I was like walking here, I noted, I mean, being near San Francisco International Airport, I think changes the demographics. It changes the needs for shipping and containers and all that. I'm sure that's why this store's here and not 10 minutes south where it's farther away to haul it.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, just very just it's an interesting thing. Like, how do you help? How do you scale when you actually like people? You've got to figure out how to meet people that you will like.
Yeah.
And like meeting people that I will like has been very hard for me. Speaking candidly, meeting people that are the general public, I find I don't connect with very well. I work much better with a deeply passionate, highly educated, affluent crew. That's my group.
Yeah, no, totally.
And so like, if I was to try and do like the Fair and Show program that I was familiar with from my past, I would have a really hard time being in like the right state of mind.
Yeah.
But like a guy like Jeff, who's brilliant, like clearly we're sitting in the middle of like, we'll tag it on the podcast episode.
Totally.
We're sitting in the middle of like a brilliant idea, and I called it a lead magnet, and it didn't even resonate with him as much, because to me this is the best lead magnet in the world.
Yeah.
Because I would think podcast first.
Well, who else is doing this?
He's incredible.
Yeah.
And it's just a very it's exceptional. I don't know, I've kind of lost my place, but I'm very excited.
Yeah, I'll touch on a couple points.
Yeah.
So I grew up Millbrae, San Bruno. Millbrae is like an oddly kind of like urban kind of city, I feel like. Even though it's a suburb, it's kind of weirdly urban, and like the way that it's set up, and it's got BART, and it's got the airport, and it's got like these like slightly taller buildings. San Bruno is more, I feel like, has more of a small town feel, in my opinion, even though it's bigger.
Yeah.
Right? And I grew up in both, kind of bouncing between them. I tend to focus my activities more like the North Peninsula, right? So that's like San Bruno, Pacifica, Daly City, South San Francisco.
Huge population density, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it's different weather patterns, a lot of different things. But you know, I think business owners like San Bruno North probably more interested in collaborating because I think I actually think it's like less tighter knit communities. I think like Millbrae, Burlingame down that way, like those are kind of like really tight knit,
Super
established businesses.
second, third generation already.
Yeah, exactly. So like
Yeah.
San Bruno, South San Francisco, Daly City, I think those people are like a lot more open to
More commerce.
collaboration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Yeah, but I think I've really trying to figure out how to run a business where you can meet the right people. So you described something perfect in my framework. I call it signal, where you put out a reel or video and somebody's not doing anything with it, and almost like for me it breaks me sometimes because I like put all this love and energy into marketing and then no engagement.
Yeah.
But then faith or some version of marketing faith comes back around and like it was a trigger and it was like it was one of many touches along the path, and they end up like being the most passionate, but they punish you somehow during the faith process.
Yeah, no, totally.
Like,
totally.
do you believe enough in what you're doing where I'm not going to give you
Yeah.
anything other than just letting you stay true to you?
You think you're just spinning your wheels, right?
And staying true is signal.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you break signal, people bounce. They're not interested in working with people that break signal.
Oh,
You've experienced it all the time in life. Yeah. You just get a vibe, or that open house vibe that maybe, and we're all people, so people might get it about you. Like, it's not bad. It's just you get a vibe.
Yeah.
And signal, there's the right signal, and I found that affluent, highly educated, capable humans here in Silicon Valley market are seeking a proper signal for their vendors.
Totally.
And as a vendor that was younger and a little bit immature, I didn't understand this, and so I just showed up as is. I kept my fingers crossed, and I did not succeed well.
Yeah.
My understanding and what I'm emphasizing, what I'm hearing about you is your signal works. Put more videos out, 10 times as many videos.
Absolutely.
Audios, like all the things that you're doing.
Yes.
Because you actually are the package, Nestor. Like,
thank you. No, and I think that like I actually show up this way too,
That's awesome.
And it's funny that you mentioned, like, I'll see people and they'll be like, oh man, I saw you on Facebook. I saw you, like, all the time. People are like, I saw you on social media. And I'm like, you did? Because you didn't like it.
Yeah.
You didn't, you didn't comment anything. But people all the time, they're like, oh, I saw you did it. And I'm just like, okay, I guess that's just how it goes.
Yeah. Well, it changes every year because 2025, people aren't even liking or commenting anymore.
Yeah.
But it's all happening in the DMs.
Right.
It's like a high school.
Yeah. But like what I found is that, and I like to work with everybody, right? But what I found is that the people who tend to appreciate me more is the 55 plus.
Oh.
And I don't know if it's that they like my work ethic. I think I'm kind of an old soul. Maybe that resonates with them.
Do they have children sometimes? You're also,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, the age may be secondary even to the fact that they just see you as more of like someone that they would like to have that kind of parental relationship with temporarily.
Yes.
You've got about that age gap, right?
Yeah, and I think also they see me as like, okay, he's young, he's energetic, he's tech savvy, versus if I'm more with somebody of my age, they may not see me as energetic and tech savvy and because there's not enough contrast.
Yeah.
Right? So
I was just thinking there's a start to my life where people start like thinking of you older. You're not there. You're just not, and that's great. And
it's the facial hair.
But you're not 18 either, and so like you're the Silicon Valley avatar. I mean, you really are. You're like the tech forward entrepreneur, founder. I mean, that's great. It's a little bit hard to come by, honestly, because we are all so busy that sometimes like I know that I stayed in that space for a very short amount of time. Then I became a father, and then I became, just all these other responsibilities. So what are you, as you discern where you want to head, do you have a process for how you decide what you're going to add in? So you're very discerning. I can feel your structure, scaffolding. Like I can tell you make choices very deliberately, like you've got intention. How are you looking at your process professionally when it is referral based? Like, how are you going to handle that concern where you start to grow to get you where you want to go?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, what I've seen and where I think I'm at is that I need to start growing people,
Huh?
right? And so, what I've noticed about teams is another way that you can look at these teams is really like, okay, you add a team member, you really just opened up your database to all that, to those people's database, right?
Yes.
So I see a lot of teams, I think they just like throw people in to get access to those people's databases.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And their smiles, right? Because they're
yeah,
beautiful, young men and women that
totally,
all
yeah,
have a lot of social followers, and
totally,
you've got the game. Yeah.
yeah. And so I think I'm at the point where I kind of need to tap into that, a little bit more. And I had another really good agent who came up to me one day and he's like, hey, you gotta teach somebody all this stuff, man. And so I think I'm at the point where I'm really ready to start pouring into some people, but I think where there's opportunity is finding the right people,
Yeah.
you know.
Does EXP let you prune? Kind of like you have a best friend down the street who's also in EXP. Do you get to like team up?
Oh
Kind of
yeah,
like,
totally.
yeah. So you can
Yeah.
you can be pretty proactive that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I think it's that search, that search for the right people. Um, I've got a couple of guys right now that they're really like they would be brand new agents. They'd be like really green and have to learn everything.
Yeah.
And so I'm, going back and forth with is this the right move? You know.
Do you guys have a very regional ability to like? I don't need to use his name here, but like I'm familiar with someone
Yeah.
in the EXP culture who did like 80 million, and like you
Yeah.
have your own experiences, and like you have this like kind of umbrella of being here in Silicon Valley where you would
Yeah.
just basically put people into the same funnel of education together.
Yeah, and actually, no, I think I know who you're talking about, and we've recently started working a lot more closely together.
Great.
And some of his, I think he's had a lot of success on YouTube, and so I'm learning a lot from that, and that's definitely also part of my growth plan, right? More evergreen content like this that we can then clip up, add on social media, let people see parts of my life. I'm a pretty private person, actually, and
Thank you for doing the podcast.
yeah, no problem. Thank you for the opportunity, but it's hard because I have a love-hate relationship with social media. I really don't like to scroll, and I also have like an addictive personality, so I don't have them on my phone. I can't have them on my phone because I'll just be wasting my time all day. So then it's hard to balance like not being able to really have those things on my phone with creating content. That's why I like this, because this is like very much intentional. Like, all right, I don't need to be taking pictures of lunch or doing that kind of weird stuff to create good, valuable content.
Dude, I cringe right now when I look at some of the people that we both know, and their social media efforts are like the kind of more playful TikTok version,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm not wired for. I completely missed
Right.
the ability to like do a skit on a Wednesday for business. Like I
Yeah,
cannot get myself into a space for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like being able to sit down and do something here, and then so the frameworks are like cold market and warm market, and if you can bring your signal into the cold market with things like video, long form content is great from video. Like
Yeah.
I have a really hard time typing my thoughts, but I can strip out what I talk about in these podcasts that never get published. But it's some of my best long form stuff is just when you and I are in state
Right.
and flow, and I'll just turn it into a transcript, and then it becomes a Substack or a LinkedIn post or whatever.
Yeah.
So like video is so critical today for me,
Right.
because it just becomes a propagator of all the other tools that I need. And then to give you a very specific strategy, I am also highly restricted on the way I can work with social media.
Yeah.
I probably touch on work addiction all the time and don't understand too much about the power that they have over me. And so I know, like, as a lifetime, the last 20 years, my social media usage continued to ramp up. So I'm very resistant. So a lot of what we do here is for that reason. Like a video that gets posted on my social media, I will then go to once or twice and just look at the hearts, look at the likes. If I get 3 or 4 of those across a week, So I'm literally like, my process for social media
Yeah.
is post using an AI template, post, then like a couple times a week I kind of make sure it's live, like I didn't mess it up, it's working for me, whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
like on the weekend I'll go back and I usually have a pattern. So I'll have yours up, I'll have other people. I'll see 3 to 5 people that are clearly making an effort.
Yeah.
Those people are the people I will DM. And I'll just be
Mm.
like, I can see you've really been engaging. Do you want to set up a time to talk?
Yeah.
That's my entire social media process. I learned a lot about creating content when I did paid ads on Instagram, and we were a factory. And I had to pay a lot of money to create all that content.
Right.
Today, you don't have to pay it. It's AI. I mean, like, I'm
Yeah.
not keeping any secrets. The value is
Sure.
in this room. Once the video's out there, anybody can make a decent clip now.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very, very cool to see like you being able to coordinate with Spencer. He's extraordinarily talented.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, the culture together, because everything does collapse together at some point. Like, if you're fantastic at what you're doing, he's fantastic, and it costs you a couple grand for a hotel room and 25
Yeah.
people to train together, like, that's a way better vibe
Right.
as a culture for EXP, as a recruiting tool. So, like, the more that I think people bring that kind of duplication together, it'll be
Yeah.
easier.
Yeah. And so, I think next week I'm doing and we've talked about VAs, but
Yeah.
I'm doing a workshop on, how to hire a VA,
Cool.
what to do, and it's pretty like rudimentary things to somebody who's like a little more advanced in business. But I think that there's still a big market for that, right? Like people that aren't using VAs, or they see it as like, I wouldn't know what to do, da da da. And then I'm thinking to myself, well, like who's doing a workshop on how to get a VA, how to use them, and da da da.
Yeah. Who's your
You
like?
know,
Where are you marketing your event?
so online via email, but it's gonna be a little coffee shop in San Bruno here.
Cool.
So yeah, and I have a little agent mastermind that I'm doing. It's primarily for them, but we're opening it up to other people too. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And then, is your listing appointment like when I think about what I don't know that I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
I've spent 100 times more with top agents. I've never seen a listing appointment.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't think it's a part of my job, but it's clearly a biggest part of you. I mean, I would think it's one of the bigger parts of your job.
Yeah. Totally.
Is that one of the things that like? Is that why somebody would come to work with you? Is because they basically are going to incredibly increase their conversions? So that's how I would imagine you're going to be helping somebody with sales training too?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, I think my in-person presentation skills is like one of my strong suits.
Yeah, because that's what I think I'm seeing in here too. Is like if I'm looking
Yeah.
at this video and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
Nestor's got something, and I think that there's probably like something I could, like, what is the person going to get from a relationship with Nestor?
Mm.
Like EXP's resources, but then your wisdom, your scars,
Yeah, definitely.
and being able to like give that kind of wisdom out. And the number one thing I would want if I was working with someone like you would be your listing presentation.
Mhm.
Candidly, I'd want to know how it is that you've been converting all of these appointments.
Yeah.
Is that kind of how it works? Like when you get a chance to start to work with people, you bring them in and you kind of teach them sales as well?
Yeah, I mean they go on listing presentations with you. A lot of times it'll be the people that I've worked with. They know how to set an appointment. They know how to find a lead, but that's usually where they get hung up, right? Is the listing presentation, and that's kind of where I come in, and they feel confident because they have somebody there who's done it, hundreds of times.
Yeah.
And so they feel supported. They get to see how it's done. They get to see, how the questions are answered. I've also created like my own listing presentation because like we can anticipate all the questions that they're going to ask. We can anticipate all the objections. So I've already built that in to my listing presentation. And that's why it's so funny to me when like people get their listing presentations from like their companies. It's like that. It's just like a bunch of stats, and it's like mine is like crafted because I know all the objections. I know, and so I anticipate them all up front, answer it all up front.
Yeah.
So
I love your brain. I think of things the same way, sequentially, and being
Mhm.
able to like think about how to support people by giving them the answers they're going to have anyways. And then if you've done a good job, like you don't even need to ask for the order. They're going to come and kind of say, can I do more of this with you? Like I liked how you made me feel.
Yeah.
I love that. And so you think about like sales and client fulfillment. And so I'm hearing like a big area of growth when we started the conversation, it was more about like your hat's sales. And I think that's true, but I think the gap is leverage,
Mm-hmm.
is the ability to broadcast your signal more clearly, one to many.
I would
You're
agree.
currently one to one a lot. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
referral, and social is starting to teach all of us like one to many is valuable, but you have restrictions there.
Mm-hmm.
So having like a process, a system that a VA could plug into could give you your list of 3 to 5 most engaged people. And then social media for me was a tool that I chose, not something that I was brought up in. So like
Mm-hmm.
using it tactically makes sense.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
getting your signal out there is the
And
key.
just kind of like accepting, right? Because I used to tell this to myself, and I realized it's not a good thing to tell myself. I used to be like, I didn't get into real estate to be dancing on social media.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm still obviously not doing that. But I had this like resistance where, like, well, I didn't get into real estate to be making funny videos or doing, or being like a talking head or.
Yeah.
But you can't ignore the power and the influence that it has today.
Yeah.
So you have to put yourself out there and just do it.
Yeah. On your terms.
Right.
And that's, I
with
think,
your values.
yeah. And like I often come to my AI's kind of ability to be very nuanced and ask like, how do we figure this out? And like, yeah, being able to like build a business where you don't burn yourself out, you don't break your brand, you don't have low integrity, or I like use the terminology like have open loops where you can't sleep at night because people are counting on you and you're not sure you can be counted on, and like just having like process. And it's never been easier to have a really good process, but you've got to choose like what not to do, and yeah, I think like your ability to communicate cleanly, like you're like a politician, dude. I love it. I mean, with so
Yeah.
much respect. I've sat with so many people. I'm very good at energy. I have an empathetic kind of inside. You have like, you just, the person I think you would be most similar to would be Brett Jennings.
Oh,
And
that's a
it's a
big
huge
compliment.
I,
Yeah.
and the reason I make the comment is because there's a co-regulation that occurs. Like when I'm around you, I feel like a better version of me. So I think you being around more people more quickly is how you will get your outcomes. Like your gas pedal, I believe like your gas pedal is how can you get started in the most conversations with people that don't know you yet as soon as possible.
Yeah. No, I would agree with that.
And that doesn't need to be like social media. It should be like a VA on your team or the AI that you click one button and then it does it. Um, but like even just having your commitment around like the testimonial side, show up and do what I'm doing and sit with your clients and have them shoot
Yeah.
a testimonial video for you.
I've done a couple of them.
Systematize it. It's
Yeah.
not you, like the social media outcome is going to be better for you.
Mhm.
And it's kind of a skit. I mean, let's be honest, a
Yeah.
testimonial video,
Yeah.
we're kind of in a skit environment here, even in some weird
Right.
ways. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, like figuring out like a way where you can feel really authentic and kind of like make social media like subjugate it to your life,
Yeah.
but don't insult it,
Right.
because
I like that.
it does need to be like, yeah. We've gone about the hour. I would love to learn. I don't know what I don't know to ask, and so like, do you feel like there's plans, there's outcomes, there's things that we could talk about a little bit that would kind of give, maybe close a loop a little bit on some of the things that you're excited about as you look forward to the end of 2025?
Yeah. So end of 2025. This year, I really was like, I'm not going to take as many vacations because I feel like, well, one of my mentors was like, real estate agents, they get paid and they go on vacation. They get paid and they go on vacation. I was like, oh, I kind of do that. Which is great, right? That's great. Like, okay, when you're in that phase of life, right? But eventually it's like, okay, there's other priorities. And I'm getting to that point. But that being said, I do have one vacation that I'm taking this year, and that'll be to Japan.
Oh.
So I'm really excited about that, probably in like November.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's definitely part of my epic plans, to build a business where I can really take the vacations and create those experiences with my family, with my kids, again, going back to the thing, right? Like your whole house just gets thrown out at the end. All that stuff, all you have is the experiences.
Yeah.
So really focusing on those experiences, on those moments when you're in the flow, that's like what those are my like epic plans, right?
Yeah.
Maximizing those moments.
Yeah. It feels like it's never been easier. With all
I would
respect to how
agree.
hard
Yeah,
the journey will be day to day for each of us, but the environment has never been more accepting.
totally.
Like I was with someone who was talking about they were in Paris and they closed 2 deals and nobody knew.
Yeah. Yeah,
You
yeah.
don't need to like.
Right,
Here's
right,
why you're not going to like what I'm about to do. You just get the deal closed. They love you for it, and they don't care where you are if you're
right.
responsive.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's I mean that's a pretty cool feeling. Like I've closed some deals while I was in China. You know, I closed a deal while I was literally snowboarding, you know, on the AirPod and like, yeah, okay, your offer's accepted. I'm like, cool, you know. So that's that. I mean, can
Yeah,
you imagine that?
I.
That's a great feeling.
That's an incredible feeling. That's got to be. I mean, that really to me is an image of success. Also, I mean, not
Totally,
necessarily the money, but
totally.
like that. I had a
Freedom.
freedom. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was a coach that had 3 or 4 clients and wanted to travel to Thailand. I took an
Mm.
international trip with the girl I was dating at the time, and then a year later wanted to go on my own, and I did. And I had those clients, and I told them honestly, I said, I want to coach you while I'm away. Like I want to do the calls. So we had like rescheduled, and I had 3 weeks of calls in a row, and doing those calls remotely at whatever time it was. They were so cool. They paid for my trip. Like it was all a goal.
Mm.
I was
Oh
like,
wow.
I want to coach you while I'm away, and then the whole trip was, Thailand's like a couple $1,000s if you're like the most luxurious dude ever.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
like I paid for the trip off of these coaching calls, like 4 or 5 hours, a couple of days, and it was just such a satisfying, like a goal that I didn't necessarily know I would achieve. Simple, but not easy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like right now it's just you versus you. You know, it's like you're the only thing in your own way. Because like you said, we have all the resources, we have all the all the things at our fingertips. So
Last kind of, can I talk about you?
sure.
You're very grounded. You have like the grounded is in the like. I feel like you've got uh, a version of a strong personal process, or were you wired this way? Do people in your family consider you to be grounded?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think I've
You've
always
been
been,
this way.
yeah, I mean, I think I've always been a person that people come to wanting advice,
Okay.
you know, just like even in their personal lives, you know.
People believe you and trust you.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, I have like friends that have become clients, and it's like, I mean, even help them like with their careers, you know. I'm like, hey, man, have you thought about doing this? Have you thought about, it's just, I don't know, it's just my nature, but
Improvement, is that the framework you like?
yeah,
Kind of.
personal development, I
Yeah.
love it. I
Yeah.
love it, you know. I want to just grow as big as I can,
I
right?
can't really help it, but when you see like an inefficiency somewhere, you might poke and kind of.
Yeah,
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 I'm like that.
exactly. Have you tried that?
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
So,
Where can people go to find more about you? Your socials or websites?
yeah, I mean, Instagram is a great place. I have hundreds of videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
So,
And it's Nestor Icaza.
that's right. Nestor Icaza.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Mitch.